Peace is a central tenet of the gospel mandate and in turn is a tenet of the Pax Christi organization. The goal of the organization's spring retreat held recently at St. Thomas Parish in Palmer was to provide an opportunity for members to rediscover the power of nonviolent discipleship in a turbulent world. Adhering to their motto, pray, study, act, Pax Christi attendees listened to one of their own as Phil Herrick led the day-long discussion and reflection on a new book which he co-authored, Living in the Company of Jesus. Steve Kiltonic has the story.
On April 22nd, St. Thomas the Apostle Parish Center in Palmer was the site for the Pax Christi, Massachusetts 2023 Spring Retreat. The retreat was led by Dr. Phil Herrick, author of a new book entitled Living in the Company of Jesus, a practical, scripture-based guide to deepening your journey within his nonviolent kingdom. Pax Christi is the international Catholic peace movement that began in 1945 by a group of French and German Catholics who wanted to reconcile and begin the process of healing after both world wars. Pax Christi USA was founded in 1972 by two Catholic bishops. Mike Moran is the editor of the Pax Christi, Massachusetts newsletter.
Our mission is really to live the peace of Christ in the world by working to make the world safer from all forms of violence and injustice.
Today, Pax Christi has chapters in over 60 countries worldwide, with 15 in Massachusetts, 3 in Western Mass.
We go through a process that we call pray, study, and act. So we try to base all our work on the spiritual grounding of the gospel of Jesus and Scripture, but we draw from the social teaching of the Catholic Church as well.
Some of the issues Pax Christi has worked on national and international levels are gun violence, anti-racism, climate change, immigration, the death penalty, and the abolishment of nuclear weapons. Pax Christi often partners locally with other groups such as Springfield's Campaign Nonviolence, demonstrating in support of certain legislative initiatives. Dr. Herrick has served on the Pax Christi Massachusetts board for 30 years and recently became co-coordinator. He's a longtime educator and holds a doctorate in social justice education.
The purpose of the book is to help others to discuss and to help build Jesus' nonviolent kingdom. And we're answering Pope Francis's call to make active nonviolence a way of our life.
Herrick's book is a collaboration with his late older brother, Father Simon Herrick, a Jesuit priest who was a university professor, theologian, author, peace activist, and pacifist. Father Herrick founded Voices in the Wilderness, which campaigned in the 1990s to end U.S.-imposed sanctions against Iraq.
I'm a priest. Children are dying. I belong here, not with my family back or my friends back in the United States. I belong where there is difficulty, where there is problem.
Father Herrick's delegation defied the sanctions by bringing medicine and gifts for the malnourished Iraqi children. A gifted orator, Father Herrick gave over 2,000 lectures against war and co-founded the Marquette University Center for Peacemaking.
He was committed to Jesus' message of nonviolent love of friends and enemies. And he put together a number of his very, very popular homilies and scriptural reflections. But before he got a chance to finish the book, he got very sick.
Father Herrick died in 2019 at the age of 71 after a long bout with a rare form of dementia. For the book, Phil organized his brother's rough draft and wrote responses to each of Simon's 19 spiritual reflections.
It's a very divisive time and we have a lot of issues and problems, but Jesus has a very clear way of trying to help us with practical messages. Both Simon and I offer very practical ways of empowering others through scripture-based practice.
Dr. Herrick adopted his book to the Pax Christi gathering, utilizing Ignatian spiritual exercises. After breaking up into discussion groups and applying relaxation techniques, Herrick read selected gospel passages.
When the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were terrified. It is a ghost, they said, and they cried out in fear.
Herrick asked attendees to put themselves into the gospel as a participant. After journaling their thoughts, members discussed the passage, reflecting on their personal experience. Herrick offered his own thoughts on the scripture and his brother's reflection.
Our woundedness does not need to disappear for us to be compassionate with ourselves and to be loved by God.
The retreat was available virtually, and people responded via Zoom throughout the day.
Today's retreat is a way for us to both look inwards to get in touch with Jesus, who's our friend, and then to see where Jesus might be directing us outwards as his disciples.
Pat Ferrone served as co-coordinator of PAX Christi, Massachusetts for 20 years. She's been involved with nonviolence issues for over 45 years.
Sometimes we become so activist that we just kind of plow ahead doing the next thing that appears on the horizon. So taking time to reevaluate where we're going and pulling in other ideas and sharing with other people, and being able to be honest too is important.
Ferrone brought a banner she made with other PAX Christi members on which they stitched the names of Americans who have died or were injured as a result of the 169 mass shootings this year. Ferrone hopes PAX Christi members use the banner as an effective tool during peaceful protests against gun violence. Father Rocco Pupolo said a goal of the group is to increase membership among youth.
Many of our Catholic colleges have ROTC, and we're trying to encourage the campus ministers to offer an alternative narrative that there could be nonviolence that our people can be engaged in.
Father Herrick's last public retreat was at a PAX Christi conference in the same parish center 10 years ago to the day.
So there's a kind of a symmetry, and I'm glad to be able to, bring my voice to his voice, to God's voice.
For Real to Real, I'm Steve Kiltonick.
And you can read a personal reflection from PAX Christi member Michael Moran of Palmer at iobserve.org. We posted that on May 10th. To learn more about PAX Christi, Massachusetts, or join one of their 3 Western Mass groups, we have a link for you at iobserve.org.